down 1,000 times. I ain't going nowhere. Yeah, I'm standing right here. Demons all around, but I ain't got no fear.
Welcome to the show, guys. We got an exciting one here for you. We are talking about 6 league winners. On the show, I've got the very special, the very talented, the one, the only, the fantasy king himself in the flesh here live with us. Well, not really in the flesh with us live, but online with us is Jim, aka the Maverick. What's going on, Jim?
Oh, man, I'm excited to be here, man. I'm excited to talk about these players.
The intros get better and better for you, Jim. And I got to tell you, man, I'm excited about league winners. And today we got 6 of them here for you, talking about them because these guys could actually win your league. So, Jim, you've got 3. I've got 3. We're ready to dive into them. But if you're new to the channel and if you have not subscribed, go click the subscribe button right now on the button below and turn on the bell because the content is flowing. It's flowing at a high pace. It's flowing fast. We're doing this daily. Well, I'm doing this daily. Jimmy's coming on a couple times a week. Smash the thumbs up and grab the 16-round draft solution. Sleepers, breakouts, optimal players draft in each round. Secure the solution. Secure the championship. So you even get a printable cheat sheet on there as well. Everything you need to crush your leagues. Secure the solution. Jim, are you ready to dive into this, man? We've got 6 league winners. These guys can make or break your team. It looks like I'm looking at the list here. You've got a couple more obvious ones. I've got ones that, could be a little bit of a wild card here. Like, hey, kind of could they win or could they bust? And that's what we've got. So you've got more of the obvious ones. I've got more of the guys that are, questionable to say the least.
Yeah, let's go for it. Let's do this.
All right. So do you want to start off with your first player, Jim? Let's go with your first league winner. Let's dive into it.
Okay, so my first player is a third-year NFL player right now. He has already proven himself, right? There's no questioning the talent of this guy. You can see it on the draft boards where he's going in drafts. This is going to have to be a first-round selection if you want to take him. But when I look at all the first-round wide receivers, the one I think that has the best chance to have a 2,000-yard season, that would be an NFL record. No one's ever done a 2,000-yard season yet. But for this season, I am saying that it is going to be Ja'Marr Chase that is going to get you over that hump. He's got so much stuff going for him right now. I mean, clearly he's on a fantastic offense, a team that has been to the NFC Championship game on 2 consecutive years. Yeah. He's got a superstar quarterback who is in a contract year. This team is ready to roll. And I also think their running back is in a state of major decline right now. So I think they're going to have to pass the ball even more this year than they normally do. But I am just seeing nothing but sunshine for Ja'Marr Chase. And I think he is a fantastic choice with your first pick in the draft if he is still available on the board.
Yeah, I mean, Ja'Marr Chase is clearly, I think, going to be the wide receiver 1 this year. And again, he played 12 games last year and he still finished as, a top 11 guy. Like, this guy is primed. Like I said, we got Joe Burrow in for a contract year. So many signs pointing to an amazing Ja'Marr Chase season. Definitely a league winner. But the big question is, are you going to be drafting Ja'Marr Chase round 1, or are you going to be looking at a running back, Jim, personally? What are you doing?
Well, I gotta say, the script is kind of flipped as far as when players are going. I've done a couple of high stakes league drafts. I've done a lot of best ball, and in previous years in the first round, it was usually some sort of a mix of about 8 running backs and about 3 or 4 wide receivers, including Travis Kelce. But this year it's kind of flipped, and there's only like 4 running backs going off in the first round and 8 wide receivers. And so for me, I'm like, I can still get great wide receivers later. We've talked a lot about Najee Harris being a 3rd round pick, right. Breece Hall being a 3rd round pick, getting someone like Dameon Pierce in the 5th round. I mean, there's really good talent you can get later on than you normally could. And so I'm like, well, you know what? I can get myself an ace wide receiver and then still get myself rock solid RB1s. And so that's kind of where I've been going. I do take Bijan a lot. I have been taking Bijan a lot in the first round if he's available. But I've also been going wide receiver in the first round, and then getting like a Nick Chubb in the second round. Najee Harris in the third, doing something like that. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, this can definitely be a year where you don't really need to go robust RB. You can sneak in a wide receiver. And again, it's up to you to decide. So do you want to go a Bijan and a Jonathan Taylor round 1 and get an Amon-Ra and a Garrett Wilson type player round 2? Or do you want to go like a Jefferson or Jamar Chase round 1, right? And then you get yourself maybe a Najee or Breece Hall or someone else like that. Now, there's rumor, again, there's talk about possibly Dalvin Cook at the time of this recording. Cook may end up on the Jets or Dolphins. They're saying even that would really buzzkill Breece. And that's a bit of a concern here that the Jets are even possibly entertaining this conversation, Jim. I'm a little concerned here about Breece Hall.
Again, I've already talked to you about my concerns about Breece Hall. I need to see this guy on the field, full participant. I need to see him in the preseason, actually out there on a series or two, before I would even consider drafting him at this point. Because, right now I'm just going to take a healthy guy. I'm going to take a Nick Chubb. I'm going to take Najee Harris. They're all going at around the same point in the draft. So, for me, it's not so much a concern about taking Breece Hall right now, but as we get closer to the season, I definitely want to see that. And if he's not doing that, that's part of the reason why they're talking to someone like Dalvin Cook, and so that's my concern.
Speaking of
same thing with Javonte, by the way, same thing with Javonte in Denver.
Yeah, that's a concern.
There's been talks about Dalvin Cook going there too. So.
All right, so speaking of like teams not trusting their running backs, I'm going to go to my second player here, and I'm going to shock the world here a little bit, but it's Zach Charbonnet, whatever you want to say it. I'm going with my league winner as Zach Charbonnet. Do you know why I'm doing this, Jim? Because why? Why do you think?
Tell me.
All right, this guy was a second round pick, and I was a Kenneth Walker owner last year. And it's still in my head. It's engraved in my head. Kenneth Walker running off to the sidelines and just tweaking something. There was an injury. I think it was a hamstring or an ankle or something like that. And it was like, dude, what happened to you, man? Like, you didn't even get touched. And I have a real problem with non-contact injuries is lack of conditioning, lack of stretching. I don't know what it is. But the fact that he got hurt, no one touched him. So I went on social media, ripped into him and said, hey, dude, like, what's going on, man? Like, you suck. Get on the field. No one even touched you. He ends up blocking me. And apparently I just found out this week that even DK Metcalf blocked me. I've never had any runnings or talking or any negative say about DK Metcalf until now. But long story short, it seems like the Seahawks have a thing against me. They don't like me. But the thing about it is this, right? Zach Charbonnet was drafted in the second round. Do the Seahawks know something, Jim, that we don't? And this guy, I looked at his stats, 6'1", 220 pounds, drafted in the second round by the Seahawks. That's huge. In college, workhorse running back, and he caught 37 receptions last year, by the way, for 321 yards receiving and 7 yards per carry on the ground, 1,359 yards on the ground. This guy's a workhorse on his own. He gets the volume, he gets the opportunity, he did it in college, and now he's entering a committee with Kenneth Walker, who's also drafted in the second round. I feel, now this is a bit of a reach here, Jim. This is where people get upset. Kenneth Walker gets hurt, Zach Charbonnet takes the reins, and he becomes a league winner. I'm going on hypothetical here, and this is what I'm banking on. I'm banking on a Kenneth Walker injury. What do you think? Crazy.
Yeah, I think even if Kenneth Walker stays healthy, I think Zach Charbonnet has value. I mean, he's clearly he's a better pass catcher than Kenneth Walker is. I think Kenneth Walker only had like 12 catches last season. I don't have the stats in front of me, but it wasn't that much. And so if Zach Charbonnet becomes the guy that is the passing down back, that's very valuable in that offense. And that can lead to some really good fantasy production. And we have seen Kenneth Walker get hurt. He has missed time. And so I think all those were a reason why Seattle went ahead and got themselves another running back in the second round. They don't want to find themselves in a situation where they don't have a solid running back should one of them get hurt. So the upside is absolutely there. let's see, he's currently going 102 overall. So,
Yeah.
we're talking a 9th round pick. Shoot. Yeah, I would absolutely take that, because if anything does happen to Kenneth Walker, I think Charbonnet is a locked and loaded RB1. No question. So yeah, I love the pick. And I love going ahead and taking a chance on someone like him at that point in the draft.
42. He's sitting 42 amongst running backs. This is ludicrous. Yeah. They've got bums, guys that have had years to wow us, so we're not wowed, sitting ahead of Zach Charbonnet, who's a 2nd round pick on the Seahawks, which is crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
So, Jim, who do you got next here?
All right. So for my next guy, now this guy I want to kind of compare. Last year, Amari Cooper was left for dead on the draft board. Okay, he was going 7th, 8th round, and nobody wanted him because there was no one who the quarterback was going to be. They had brought in who was the I can't even who the quarterback was on Cleveland last year. But anyway, so Amari Cooper was basically left for dead on the draft board. But if you took him, he provided you with wide receiver 1 value. He ended up being the wide receiver 7 on the season. Just an absolute fantastic value. And for this year, there's a guy that I think in the same boat, and it's Diontae Johnson of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's basically been left for the board. He's going 78th overall. That is a 7th, 8th round pick. And this dude had 147 targets last year. Now, he had a tough year because he was playing with a rookie quarterback who threw only 7 touchdowns the whole year. So it's no wonder he ended up with 0, which was kind of unprecedented. But I see some positive regression with that, where he's going to go back and he's going to catch. In previous years, prior 2 seasons, prior to last season, he caught like 8 touchdowns one year and 9 touchdowns another. And that was with Ben Roethlisberger. But right now, the way I have him projected, if he does what I think he's going to do, which is probably about 78 catches, 5 touchdowns, the fantasy points, that would make him basically like a wide receiver 7 on the year based on what happened last year. So I'm just like, I can't pass this guy up. And, in the app, it's very hard for players to score 100 points, based on the consistency, upside, durability, depth chart, and youth. And Diontae Johnson is actually I think he's the only one on the app that actually does score 100 cutty points. That's the best you can do. And so I'm like, it's like, you cannot pass on this guy when you get to the 7th round. Just take him, because he's going to be fantastic for your fantasy team. And he's going to be a fantastic value at where he's going. So
absolutely. I mean, Diontae is the wide receiver 1 on his team, and he was clearly the wide receiver 1 on his team last year. Now, he would be higher on the ADP had he scored more touchdowns last year. He would have like 1 touchdown, right? So
he had 0
touchdowns. Okay, I was off. Even worse, even better actually, because now you're not going to think he's going to score anything. Again, Kenny Pickett was kind of just getting integrated. Mitch Trubisky was there. All these bum quarterbacks. But either way, I think Pickett is finally integrated now. They've got their groove going. Pickens is there. Hopefully he distracts the defenses a little bit. They got Freiermuth. They've got, Najee Harris. They've got a ton of options here. And I really feel this is the year that Diontae this is going to be his pinnacle year. This is it. And again, you're getting him for immense value, and you're getting a wide receiver 1. So going back to the conversation of like, you could wait on a running back. You get awesome guys. You also get great guys as well at the wide receiver position. Jim, this could be really exciting stuff here for Diontae Johnson, especially when I see him sitting there, round 5 and after. I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting a wide receiver 1 for absolutely free. Sign me up for that.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to go with mine here, Jim, my next guy. And this guy, in the offseason hasn't really kind of like jumped out at me, but I did some thinking and I did some digging here. The guy I'm talking about is Christian Watson as a potential league winner. Now, with this guy, I got to take a look at what he did last year, and he had Aaron Rodgers, but here's what happened. I think he was hindered last year. I think that after he dropped the pass, if you guys remember, I was high on Christian Watson. I said draft him. And what happened was he came out, had this deep ball to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers kind of did he over? No, I think Watson dropped the ball. And then Aaron Rodgers kind of his ego kicked in, and then he kind of like faded Watson for weeks and weeks and weeks. Then Watson started turning it up around, I don't know what week it was, like week 4, 5, 6, 7. It was kind of midseason. Then he had this reign of like consecutive games with touchdowns. So we know that he's capable. We know that he was kind of ignored, I think, earlier on in the season by Aaron Rodgers. And here's the thing, he's a round 5 value right now and a potential wide receiver 1. But then the big question comes, Jim, is who's throwing the ball? And that's Jordan Love. Let's dive into Jordan Love real quick. Round 1 pick in 2020, sat behind Aaron Rodgers for years. He's only played a couple games. He hasn't played that many games. I think he's only started 6 or something like that in his career. In those games that he's actually played in the NFL, when Aaron Rodgers was sidelined or whatever it may be, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, looked lackluster to say the least. Now he's going in as the main guy. Remember, he was a first-round pick, right? And he's had the mentorship potentially with Aaron Rodgers, and this is it. This is his opportunity to shine. So that's the biggest question mark I have is how good is Jordan Love, and is Christian Watson going to be the guy? They got Romeo Doubs here. They got other options, but this is an opportunity if Love turns it up and Watson gets the volume, that this could be a special connection and a round 5 pick, 28th amongst wide receivers right now in the Chiefs' rankings. Jim, I don't know, man. I'm feeling Christian Watson could have a boom type year or a complete bust type year. What are you feeling Christian Watson here?
Yeah, I gotta say, I mean, the record of NFL teams after they lose their Hall of Fame franchise quarterback is not great. I mean, it's kind of like at best they'll do about what they did the year before, and if you look at what the Green Bay Packers did last year, 7-9 team, pretty mediocre. And I'm seeing that that's probably a best case scenario for the Green Bay this year. And, I'm not sold on Jordan Love at all. He's certainly not an Aaron Rodgers type player. And as far as mentoring, Aaron Rodgers' ego, he probably didn't even Jordan Love he just like kind of ignored him the whole time he's been there. So,
yeah,
so I'm a little concerned about just about any from Green Bay.
Big Ben was the same too. These guys have egos, right? Big Ben, Aaron Rodgers, they don't really mentor the guys behind him. And I heard inside stories that Big Ben was a jerk in the locker room with younger quarterbacks. And I think the same thing may have happened with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. I mean, anything with the competition, if there's any competition to get their job, they don't like that at all. Tom Brady's the same way, right? So, again, I am not targeting I'm not targeting Christian Watson. He does rate pretty well on the app. He's showing as a great value right now, going 6th overall. So we're talking 5th round. Not a terrible choice, but there are usually some better choices that I like at around that point in the draft. So I haven't got any shares of Christian Watson so far this year. And I feel like his situation is very similar to Gabriel Davis last season, where Gabriel Davis was way overhyped based on how well he did right at the end of the prior season. And everyone thought that, he was going to become like this awesome ace wide receiver. And then he didn't. It feels like a big transition year for Green Bay. And I can't figure out that receiving core. There's so many receivers on that team. I can't figure out who's going to be the one. So, I'm just
disclaimer on Christian Watson. I have 0 Christian Watson stock in the leagues that I've got so far. So, but I'm just laying out potentials and hypotheticals, and I'm saying that Jordan Love was a first-round pick. There could be an opportunity, and I don't think Christian Watson really hit his stride last year, so there is some ceiling, and the value isn't bad for a potential wide receiver 1. So I'm just laying it out. It's up to you guys to ultimately make the decision. How do you guys feel? Are you a believer in Love and Christian Watson? Tons of question marks, but with question marks and uncertainty comes a lot of upside. So that's what I've always said. All right, Jim, let's move on to your next one here.
Okay, so my final guy, we've talked about this guy a lot, and I'm so excited about this team and this quarterback making that leap to elite status. And I think that this guy can absolutely become an elite quarterback in this league, a top 5 top 3 potential, top 5 overall type player. And that is Trevor Lawrence of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And he's just in a perfect situation. He's entering the 3rd year of his career, 2nd year with his coach, 2nd year in that system. He really came on in the second half of last season. And I've talked about, like, I think it's a crime how people are projecting him for the upcoming year. They added, they added an ace wide receiver to the backfield, Calvin Ridley. They added additional help in the backfield with Tank Bigsby. And so I see Trevor Lawrence, his ceiling is somewhere north of 4,500 passing yards and 40 touchdowns. I mean, that's where he could go this year. So he could be talked about in the same breath as a Patrick Mahomes or a Joe Burrow. He's going to be like that. And so I have been taking him, and he's going, 74th overall on the draft board. So, again, we're talking, what is that, late 6th, early 7th round. I love taking him there, especially, it's great value, great upside. And I think this offense is just going to surprise. And like I said, I think Jacksonville is an early pick for me for a team that's going to compete for the Super Bowl. They're going to make it deep into the playoffs with a potential Super Bowl appearance. So that's where I'm at with them.
Yeah, I feel warm and fuzzy as well about this guy completely. And he's that value quarterback that you're getting. And I think it's a decision between him and Herbert when you're in and around round 5 to 7. But again, your other options, if you don't go Mahomes, if you don't go Josh Allen, if you don't go Hurts, then you've got Lamar Jackson there, some Justin Fields, which again, I'm not high on quarterbacks that run the ball. That run the ball that much. I like Hurts because he's a good balance. Kind of reminds me of a stronger Andrew Luck, because I was a big Andrew Luck guy. So if you've got that bigger build, I don't like the lanky, the skinny, those kind of quarterbacks like a Lamar, the wiry ones like a RG3, Lamar, I like more of the stronger built quarterbacks. Now, again, you're getting a skinnier kind of quarterback with Trevor, but he doesn't run as much as those guys. So I'm not really as concerned. Love the pocket passer, love the opportunity, love the new weapons. Yeah, sign me up. I'm all over Trevor Lawrence this year. And he's that guy that you can get for amazing value and anchor your team with an ace quarterback. 100% in. I'm sold, Jim. We're not arguing on that.
All right, I know. I mean, I'm excited that team's going to do this year. I just can't wait. So
Last guy here.
So who's your last guy?
Yeah. It's going to be Quentin Johnston here. Now, I am not sold on Mike Williams. I am not sold on Keenan Allen as being the wide receiver ones. I never thought they were true wide receiver ones ever in their career. Maybe Keenan Allen for a bit. Mike Williams has always sucked. He's always been hurt. Years to wow us, we're not wowed. The only reason he's in conversation that he's good at all is because he makes those 50-50 ball catches, those big leap catches, the touchdown, the red zone target. He gets a couple of those a season, makes the highlight reel, and then he's on everybody's radar and he's kind of in the media. Not sold on it. You don't draft a guy in the first round to sit him. They know Keenan Allen's old. They know Mike Williams can't stay healthy. They know Herbert's in a contract year. He's got to throw the ball downfield. They needed a good, true wide receiver one. I think they got that with Quentin Johnston, who's sitting 48th amongst wide receivers. So just the fact that I know that he could potentially be the one is reason enough to get him. Round 9, guys, is where this guy is potentially coming off. He was a round 1 pick on the team in a crippled wide receiver core, and he's, Jim, round 9, I can get a potential wide receiver 1. Why not? Put him on your roster. Why not? Round 9.
Right. Yeah. And let's also talk about the age of those other receivers. Keenan Allen is 32 this year. Mike Williams is 29. They're injured all the time. Yeah. They're going to miss time. One of the other is going to miss time. That's going to help Quentin Johnston's usage. And Quentin Johnston is the youngest guy on this offense by far. I mean, even Austin Eckler is 28. I mean, I was really concerned about the Chargers offense until they selected Quentin Johnston. I'm like, oh, okay, good. An injection of youth into this aging offense. Right. So that's great. And the ability that he's going to be attached to Justin Herbert for years now is fantastic. So the upside is tremendous. He again, another player that scores very well on the app. I love the idea of, grabbing like Diontae Johnson in the 7th, Quentin Johnston in the 8th. Wow, that's a great pairing, right? That's a great pair of wide receivers to get that late.
Johnson. Yes, Johnson and Johnson.
Yeah, Johnson and Johnson. There you go. It'll cure what ails you.
That's my fantasy healing power. Yeah, man. So that's it. I mean, Charbonnet, again, these guys are not guys that I'm anchoring my team with and saying I feel safe. Charbonnet, Watson, Quentin Johnston, just big upside players where they're in a scenario where they could be the one or something happens. And a couple things have to happen. Injuries and stuff have to kick in for these guys to really flourish. So again, with Jim's guys, they're a little more secure, more plug and play. Easy way to explain it, right, Jim?
Yeah, you definitely are taking a more of a roll of the dice with your guys. But again, both Charbonnet and Johnson are so in your draft. You're not taking them as your 1 or 2 or even 3. You're usually probably going to get these guys as your RB4 or your wide receiver 4 at the very earliest. So wow, just fantastic upside there. So go for it.
All right, guys, we're going to be rolling out content daily. Secure the 16-round draft session. I've linked it below. Subscribe, guys. Drop a comment below. Let me know about a league winner that you guys like. Jim, we'll talk soon, man. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Counselor.
We're out, guys. Talk soon.